My mom has been abusive and a bully to everyone, and now wonders why she is alone. I, 19F, have lived with my mother all my life, but moved out a year ago due to multiple traumatic events in the past. As of last week, I got the official PETS diagnosis for this, and I plan to cut ties. She has never been the nurturing type, and always just given me the bare minimum that I needed to survive. I'm talking. My friends had to teach me at 13 or so how to brush my hair and teeth cause my mom couldn't be arsed to do it. They also had to explain things you usually learn in preschool that my mom also failed to show me, like not to hit or even touch other kids if they didn't want it. She left me alone for the first time when I was 6, overnight, and when I called crying 20 minutes after she left. My mom said that she would only come home if there was an emergency, and I was so scared to be alone. I almost threw myself down the stairs on purpose so that she would come home. I chickened out and cried myself to sleep. The next day, she said, "See." That went well, no need to be a baby about it. And from that point forward, just expected me to be okay with her expected me to be okay with her dipping whenever she felt like it. She said I looked like a Chinese prostitute because I had makeup on for the first time, and the shade was too pale for me. She said that all the men would be looking at me in that way, and that I would be a pretty sight distraction for them. I was 12, and I was about to go to church for a ceremony. She has repeatedly made it known that she doesn't care about my well-being nearly as much as my chores being done, my grades being good, and people think she's a good, brave, single mom. From not caring that I wouldn't eat or show up at her house for days just to see if that would make her worry to calling me fat, even though I'm perfectly healthy, and she is the obese one. There is a lot to unpack here. I'm going to therapy and I'm getting better. Responsible for my PTE is something she did when I was 6 or 7. She would invite our neighbor and her 2 sons over so they could play with me, and the grown-ups would talk. Those 2 boys, S.A., E'd me multiple times during those playdates. I begged my mom not to let them come over again with tears in my eyes. She responded by saying I should be grateful those older boys were even indulging me. After all, boys that age don't want to play with girls, much less younger babies like myself. It stopped after she fought with the neighbor. Meanwhile, my memories got repressed, and I only remembered these things after 2 years of therapy. That was just the context. Sorry for trauma dumping. My birth giver's most recent escapade is this. Ever since my grandma, her and my aunt's mother, died, my aunt doesn't celebrate Christmas with my mother. She says it's because she thinks the holiday is overrated, but whenever I come to visit on December 24 or 25, to drop off presents, the entire house is decorated beautifully, and I'm always invited to stay for dinner, a movie, or a snack. I think my aunt likes to celebrate Christmas, just not with her sister. My sister, the golden child and an enabler for my mother's tantrums, spends one holiday with our mother and one with her baby daddy's family, so the kids get even visits. So imagine my surprise when, after a year of little to no contact, suddenly I'm called by Mother Dearest, asking me to come home and spend Christmas with family. I have been at my dad's for Christmas for 5 years in a row. I was the first to leave to spend the holiday elsewhere. Then came my aunt, and then this year, my sister. Why I should throw around my plans because she failed to keep her family close literally every other day of the year is beyond me, and I tell her so. Now, of course, this is very sad, and I'm a horrible daughter person for doing this and leaving my poor mother alone on Christmas. Boo-hoo. Some family members have called and told me to not be selfish, and it's the time for family to come together. I tell them I am with my family, and if they think it's so sad that this poor, narcissistic, abusive devil has to spend a cold December night alone, then they can come and pick her up. No one wants to do that. Big surprise. My aunt is staying out of it. My dad says it's my right to do whatever I want on Christmas and would not recommend going back out of pity and guilt. My mom is crying and calling and guilt, tripping me and begging me to come home. My sister says I'm being cruel and a selfish brat. The woman is my mom, and she gave birth to me. Our family is really small, so there are like 7 people on Ader's side. Can someone please tell me I'm not insane? I think I need to hear that. Or would you keep someone like this in your life? Aside from the say, this is the tamer stuff she did. Edit. For those of you wondering where my dad was during all of this, she basically used him as a donor and peaced out. They both wanted a child, but not a relationship, so they agreed that he would be a weekend dad, and I would stay with my mom most of the time. Only she started reducing contact the second I was born. She didn't put his name on the birth certificate without anyone's knowledge. He only got to see me like once every 2 months, if we got lucky. And even then, my mom complained that that was too much. My dad wasn't aware of how I'd been treated, and I only recently told him, mostly because I repressed half the bad stuff that happened, and the other half I thought was normal as a child. He was horrified. What's weird is that she never seemed to want me around, like she'd leave for days during school weeks with little to no warning, or, during summer shed, ship me off to a camp I didn't want to go to. My dad would have gladly had me on all of those occasions. I don't know why she didn't let me go. At this point, I think she was just acting cruel, 'cause she could.